Today we're reviewing the bottle that I wanted probably most this allocation season, more than George C. Stagg, William Weller. This was the bottle that I was most looking forward to, but does it live up to the hype that I built up in my head? Let's find out. Welcome back to the Bourbon Retriever, and today we are reviewing the latest release from Jack Daniel's, and it is the Coy Hill single barrels from 2024. This one specifically is coming in at 126 proof. Now the proofs of these can range anywhere from, I think I saw in the press release, 122 proof all the way up to 137 proof. In this area of Virginia, we got them as high as 133 proof. I haven't seen any of 137 proofs, but I'm sure they're out somewhere in America. Now these were all aged at the Coy warehouse number 8. Coy Hill, they actually have a couple warehouses on that hilltop. Previously they released the Coy Hill release, what was that, 2021 I want to say, maybe 2022. But that was warehouses 13 and 8, and this one is just warehouse 8. In fact, if you look on the neck tag of these barrels, it's not on the Coy Hill one, but if you go on the neck tag of other single barrels, I can't tell if I'm getting on the camera there or not, but you can see the barrel house number on the neck tag there. And if you're trying to find other Coy Hill barrels, you want to see numbers, I'm pretty sure it's 8, 9, 10, 11, and 13. Those are the warehouses on Coy Hill. Now, if you notice, I skipped number 12, and that is because that rick house is no longer in function. I forget the history on it, but it either burned down or fell down a couple of years ago. So this should be a pretty wide release. They mentioned that they put 258 barrels out into the market. I'm not quite sure the yield on those barrels, but that seems like a pretty good number of barrels they're putting out there. Hoping you have more fortunate luck than I did. I personally was not able to find this bottle. I searched high and low in Virginia, missed it by a couple minutes at several stores, but my good friend Jose got it, and he has let me borrow it today for the review. A couple other facts about the bottle before we jump into the review of it. These are coming from, I think I said earlier, Warehouse H. Specifically, these are coming from floor 5 and 6. The previous release came from the Buzzer Roost section of the Coy Hill, and those were, I want to say, floor 8, like a very top niche of that barrel house, but these are coming from floor 5 and 6, which are more center part of the warehouse, where a lot of distilleries will have their best barrels come from, because it's not getting too hot or too cold, but you're getting a nice fluctuation there to develop good whiskeys over time. And this one is a much older barrel than traditional Jack Daniel's. I think those barrel proofs are typically like 4 to 7 years old, but this one is coming in just a couple months shy of 11 years old. So one of the cool things about Jack Daniel's bourbon is every bourbon in their lineup, everything from the Jack Daniel's Old Number 7, which is on every liquor store shelf in the country, all the way up to their Coy Hill, the premium of premium bourbons, they all use the exact same mash bill and yeast. The mash bill is, I want to say it's 80% corn, 12% rye, and 8% malted barley. It just goes to show how much the aging in the barrel, location, how long it's in there, and also the proof they put it out, how much that just impacts the flavor. And lastly, the price. The price on these are phenomenal. I wish every distiller, especially the legacy distillers, would put out LEs at this price point. This one is only coming in at around $80, whereas many of the other distilleries that are limited editions are $200 and plus. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into and actually review this bottle. All right, I am absolutely digging that aroma. A ton of nice, rich, sweet caramel notes. And then that wood note is definitely pronounced. You definitely get in there. It's not over oaked. It's not a bitter wood smell. It's a nice sweetness, aged oak smell you get in there with that caramel note. It is absolutely, like, I can almost taste it from the smell. It's absolutely delicious. I just love how pungent it is. Like, it is strong. It lets you know it's there. Nothing off-putting about the aroma. And then I know a lot of people will talk about the color. I normally don't talk about too much unless it is something noticeable, but you can just look at this. It is a nice red amber color there. I think it is actually a good idea that they put these special release, the Coy Hill ones, with this orange label. Their barrel proofs are like, I think, black, and then the rye is green, but the Coy Hill ones they put in this orange color, and I think it's just a good omen to the color of the juice inside this, because it's hard to find like whiskey that has that just rich amber color. I think if I had to paint an image of the smell I'm getting, it reminds me a lot of those cinnamon buns. Like me and my family every day for Christmas, Christmas morning we make some homemade cinnamon buns, and that is exactly the notes I'm getting on this. Nice vanilla frosting, some of that sweet bread note, not grainy like you might get in younger bourbons, but it's a nice baked soft dough right out of the oven. Maybe a little bit of cinnamon on top there, and then just that nice sweet caramel note in the background. It is just absolutely fantastic. I'll take a moment here and talk about actually the glass I'm drinking out of here, and it is my personalized Bourbon Retriever Glens. If you're in the market looking for a Glen, send me an email. I'll put it here in the video and down in the description below. I'm currently pricing them at $12. If that's something you're interested, definitely give me an email and I'll get them out to you. Shipping, it'll just be whatever it costs to ship you. You know, I'm based here in Virginia, and just different areas of the country it costs more to ship to, but I'll just ship that cost to you guys. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the palate. All right, the first thing I'm getting is this drinks to me well above its proof. That's traditionally not something I'm looking for. You know, when I first got into whiskey, I was chasing that proof. I wanted that burn. But the more I'm getting into whiskey, I'm actually like enjoying whiskey that has more flavor than proof. And traditionally when I'm looking for whiskey, I actually want whiskey that tastes much below its proof. Like it's packing that flavor, but you don't have that nice Kentucky hug in the background. And this one drinks much hotter to me. I would have guessed this was well over 130 with that just rich spice, tingling feeling you get in the back of your mouth just as you drink this. It's just like almost like I feel like I'm breathing out fire. Yeah, the most prominent note to me is that clove note, and then just that baking spice. I don't know if it's really baking spice, but it's just proof almost on the back end. It's just overpowering the finish. It is really strong, that proof with that clove note. But when you first put it in your mouth, you don't have that burn. It gets that nice light vanilla, transitions into more of like a caramel rich undertone. But once it gets to that mid palate, that proof just takes over and just engulfs your whole mouth. Okay, now that I'm on my third or fourth sip here, that flame is starting to get more tame and more flavors are coming out now. Surprisingly, I'm getting a little bit of a chocolate note in the middle. I normally only get that on double oaks or toasted products, but maybe it's just the age on this, that aged oak. I'm getting a little nice sweetness in the middle there. It's not pronounced by any means, but just almost like a light hint of chocolate there in the middle, like a dark chocolate, not a milk chocolate, like almost like a bitter, the dark chocolate. And then there's also just a ton of oak on this. Again, not like a double oaked or a toasted oak, like that's more of on the sweeter profile. This is definitely much more on that aged oak, like almost like you're eating a piece of wood that's been burnt. It is just really pronounced on the oak front. If you are very oak sensitive, I don't think you're gonna like this that much. But to me, I traditionally like a little bit of oak in there, so I'm enjoying it. So one note that I am surprised, or not surprised, wait, unsurprised. Well, I didn't expect to get it on this bottle, but I would expect to get it on almost every other Jack Daniel's barrel proof release, is that banana note. It's a very traditional note for almost every Jack Daniel's barrel proof you get. However, I didn't get that note on the first release of Coy Hills, and I haven't gotten the note on some of the better barrel proof ryes and bourbons that I've had. And to me, I look for barrels that don't have that banana note. To me, that is a good sign of one of the great Jack Daniel's single barrels. But I am getting it on this bottle. It's not to say, you know, it's a good or bad bottle. Just me personally, I try and find those barrels that don't have it. So if you like that banana note, you know, you might like these more than the older releases. Just me personally, I was hoping that this one wouldn't have that banana note. Yeah, and the banana in this one is almost like a very ripe banana. Like this one isn't a caramelized banana. It's like almost like a green banana that you take out of its sleeve, or I don't know, what is that peel? The peel of the banana, you take it out. Yeah, there's that tartness you get on those young bananas is kind of what I'm getting in this pour. Now before I finish this off, I want to compare this to just a standard release of Jack Daniel's single barrel proof and see how it compares. And for me today, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually compare the single barrel I got from the Bourbon Junkies last year or maybe 2 years ago. I can't remember exactly when I got this, but it is coming in at 128 proof. Okay, right off the bat, you can tell it's not quite the same color. It's a little lighter than the Coy Hill, but let's go on with the aroma. Yeah, instantly I'm not getting any of that oak note. There is a lot more oak going on in the Coy Hill, and this is a much lighter note. You can definitely tell this is much younger. And then I'm getting a lot of that banana note in that you typically get in the Jack Daniel's barrel proofs. Yeah, to me on the palate here, it is almost all banana. That is the most prominent note. The main note I'm getting on this. So the banana is like the main note I got on this, whereas this, it's almost more like a background note. That oak char, that caramel is definitely more in the forefront on this bottle, whereas in the traditional one, it's just much more banana forward. One thing surprising though is this single barrel is hotter than the Coy Hill, but I'm getting almost no proof on it at all. I would have guessed this one was much lighter, maybe in the teens, because I'm just getting absolutely none of that proof burn. But that simply could be just for the airtime. You know, this one's been open for a year plus, whereas this has been a fresh crack within the last month or so. So maybe once the Coy Hill gets a little more air into it, gets some more airtime, it will balance out and that proof won't be as much in your face. But for the time being, I'm definitely getting a lot more proof in it than the single barrel that I own. Yeah, you can definitely tell the single barrel one's just, it's a good bourbon, all around great pour. Like if you do not own a Jack Daniel's single barrel barrel proof, go and buy one. For $70, $60, you can't beat it. It wins almost every blind you do. Like I'm doing Advent right now with my friends. We've gone through roughly 15 days or so, something like that. And it is coming out number 2 on the list. And this list includes some big name bottles. Whereas the Coy Hill here is definitely more complex. There's more going on. You can tell it is a much older product. But I guess if you don't like those age notes, you actually probably would prefer the traditional Jack Daniel's over the Coy Hill. Now though, should you go out and chase and try and hunt down this Coy Hill? Me personally, if I could get it for $80 on the shelf, I would grab it. Right now, secondary on them is anywhere between like $300 to $400, depending on the proof that they're out at. And for me, at that price point, I think it's gonna be a pass for me. Even though this has been the bottle that I've been hyping up the most, and maybe that's part of the reason here. I've been hyping up almost too much in my brain. There are many other bottles. If you were gonna play in that price tag, go buy instead. Like the Russell's 15 is way better, and that's like around $400. What else is that? Like this 15th Colony, the 15th anniversary, 13th Colony, 15th anniversary, that's like around $400, and that is also much better than this. But if you can get it for that $80, even if like your store charges a little more, like anywhere up to like maybe $150, I would say it's a buy. But for me personally, I don't think this would do that well at end of your blinds. I think it would get hit pretty hard. Just with that proof point that's coming in, and then the oak being just a little too tart with that young banana note in the background. I just don't think it'd do that well at the end of the year. But for $80, I would definitely buy this bottle. But in the end, if you're thinking that you're gonna get one of the old Coy Hills that came out a couple years ago that were in the hazmats, this is not that. I wish I could do a side-by-side, but just my memory of having that one, I was much more impressed by that bottle than I am this one, and I think this is probably a decent step down from what those bottles were. So that's my review of the Jack Daniel's Coy Hill. But if you're enjoying this content, hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss any content going forward. I got some big LE bottles I'm trying to get reviews out before my end of the year blind for best whiskey of the year. I'm trying to get a George C. Stagg 24 review out, the Four Roses LE that came out this year, the Parker's Heritage Cognac, maybe the Maker's Mark Cellar Age. What else is out there? I got a couple of reviews coming out, so I'm gonna try and knock those out here. You're not gonna wanna miss them. But also, if you wanna check out some of the videos I have out right now, check out this one or this one. And until next time, cheers.